Okay, welcome to the first episode of Erlang Bits. Wait, what? They haven't seen all of the Kotlin series? I was. What? Oh, okay, well, unfortunately, you missed the rest of the Kotlin series because I was in a dimensional portal in another universe. Here we are. We're back to Erlang, and I'm going to show you how you install it with Nix. I'm a big fan of Nix. I've already had it installed on this machine for a long time. We are currently running Nix 2.15.1. You can install it yourself if you would like. So I'm also going to use a tool called Devenv to control my Erlang environment and just the surrounding packages around doing Erlang dev, and I'll set it up now. So if we go to devenv sh/getting started, I'll put the link in the description. It'll tell you how to install Nix if you're on Linux, Mac, or Windows subsystem for Linux. You can install this tool called Cachix. Cachix is a tool that allows you to cache custom binaries. So in this case, they're caching Devenv for you so that you can just install it on your machine relatively quickly. So there's some instructions for getting Cachix, and then there's instructions for getting Devenv. So I've already run all of these things, and so if we run Devenv, I'll have some help, and I have version 0.6.3, and we can actually get started. So the first thing it tells us to do is do devenv init. So let's run devenv init. So this is going to go get some stuff from our Cachix. You can see that it's Cachix devenv something with a SHA, and it's set up some stuff for us. So there's a .nvarc file, which basically tells this thing to load. Actually, let's just look at it. This tells us to start this devenv devenv file with this particular SHA, and then we use devenv. So this is what sets up our environment, and you can add things like environment variables to this and whatnot. So it's pretty useful. Additionally, I have this nvarc thing gets loaded by a tool called devenv. So if you go to devenv.net, this is where you can get devenv. There's also an additional tool that's not required but helpful, nix-devenv. It's kind of an unfortunate name, but these two tools together will give you fast caches for devenv, and so loading .nvarc a second time will be very, very fast. And you can see here it's it says reloading devenv using devenv, and then updated the devenv shell cache. So that's all these tools set up. Okay, cool. So from here, there's a few things that are created for you. There's a gitignore file, and we're going to want to add some stuff to it. So specifically, we want to add .nvarc, and we want to add devenv, which is this that custom cache file. So we'll just call this devenv file to code. You can actually share nvarc with other developers, for example, but I tend not to. I just keep things local and just let people use whatever they want to use, and we're not really going to share this with other people, so not a big deal. Another thing you can do inside your nvarc is export variables. So let's say you had some secret that you wanted to inject into your project. You could do that with a .nvarc file. So we could just put something here and then export it, and it would only get exported when we're inside of this directory or subdirectories of it. And then you'll see I did make a change. I deleted a line, so it's going to tell me that I have to approve its contents. So I'll just say devenv allow, and now it will just continue working. And so there's a little bit about devenv. Okay, so from here, there's basically two files that are made for you, devenv.nix and devenv.yaml, and we'll just look at them. Note this, it's asking me for a language server, and we're going to actually include that in our project. So we'll use that as a illustration of how you can use this tool. So here's a devenv.nix file. Nix is a programming language and a package manager. And so it's kind of confusing to understand exactly what it is at any given point. But devenv kind of helps make some it makes it a bit easier to use. So here's like an environment variable. We're not going to use environment variables in this project because, oh, well, okay. Because we're just going to use the envarc. And then from here, we can use different packages. So in this case, it's like including its own version of Git. We don't really want Git, but we want other things. So you can actually write with packages, and then you don't have to write packages. If you want to go look for packages, you can go to nixos, search.nixos.org, and then we can go search for nil. So nil is a language server for Nix, and my editor has it configured, but I don't have it here. So now all I have to do is add nil to this package list, and I can get it included. I can include custom scripts. I can have like a message when I enter the shell. I'm going to enable or disable those things. And then I can like enable languages. And so I'm using Nix. I'm going to be using Erlang. We're going to be using Gleam, and maybe we'll do Elixir. But these are all the Beam languages, and that's kind of like what I'm interested in this series. It's called Erlang, but we may dabble in some other Beam related languages. And if you look at Devenv, it'll show you all the supported languages, and I'm sure that if you wanted to add another language for whatever reason, you would be able to do that. So you could just look at the list and like pull whatever you want. So we're going to enable all those things. And then one more thing we're going to enable, because it's not enabled by default, is rebar 3 to build Erlang projects. It's not enabled by default when you turn on Erlang, but you know, we can always add it. And the nice thing is it's part of Nix packages, so we can just like search rebar, and you'll see that rebar 3 Erlang build tool is available for you. So should be easy enough to get all of these things. And the other piece is the devenv.yaml. You probably don't need to touch this. It's going to basically set our Nix packages URL. There may be cases where you do want to touch this, but in this particular video, we're not going to discuss them. One thing to note is Nix package is unstable. You may have seen that down here. This is really like the rolling release, and so it's like kind of stable. I wouldn't say it's so unstable to use. Like I use it for every single project, but you don't have to. You can technically use this 2305, but I would suggest just using the unstable one. This thing also has like pre-commit hooks that you can enable and processes that you can enable. Like if you wanted to start, I don't know, Postgres or something inside of this shell, you could do that. So anyway, there you go. And when we save this thing, a few things are going to happen. You're going to see that our envarc has changed, as in the environment that it's running in has changed. And now it's going to go pull all of those tools, which I just told it to get. Okay, and it's already done. So that was pretty fast. Most of these things are cached, so it should be relatively quick. So now we should have Erlang. Sorry, it's just ERL. And you can see here it says Devenv profile. So that's like this particular Devenv profile that we're using. We should also have Gleam. We should have rebar. And we have all of those things. So now that we have these things, we can basically make a new project. I believe it's rebar new app example. And then this will create like the things that we need. So we can just hop in here, and we can say rebar compile, and then it will compile our example. If we look at the source for this, which is an application behavior, and then we could like start writing Erlang in here. So if we wanted to have a function, we could just say like IO format hello world, and we would be done. So in the next episodes, we'll talk about like actually how you write Erlang code, but this is how you would get started. Okay, thanks for watching, and hopefully I don't get stuck in any interdimensional portals anytime soon. Thank you.